Cobra Kai never dies. It's been a saying with fans for over 30 plus years since the original movie series came out, and with 3 seasons and a 4th on the way, karate fans all over the world are infatuated with the dynamic relationship that is Daniel Larusso and Johnny Lawrence.
What the hell is your problem?
You, Larusso.
And after a successful run with the newer series on Netflix, we can't wait to see what these two have in store for us. In this video, we're going to be covering the newer series Cobra Kai and the 25 references to the original movie trilogy. In Season 1, right as the first episode starts, we are brought back to the high school gymnasium where Johnny and Daniel are at the final bout where the original film ended. But in the new Cobra Kai, there are some new shots, angles, and even previously unused footage not shown in the original movie. In the newer series, we see Johnny still driving a red Avanti convertible. Would it be too much to ask if it was the same car 3 decades later? Right? Through the trilogy and the newer series, we see Johnny's love for red in his wardrobe and his motor vehicles. The real first throwback we see to the original film is when Johnny and Daniel finally meet in the showroom floor of Daniel's car dealership, where Johnny makes reference to the fact that Daniel should have been disqualified for his infamous crane kick. In the first movie before the tournament, it was stated clear that blows to the face were illegal, which is a discussed plot hole among fans of the film.
The Karate Kid was William Zabka, star pupil of the Cobra Kai dojo, whom this monster defeated with a cheap, illegal head kick in the most tragically haunting film ending of all time.
Number 2, when talking to his wife, Daniel mentions how he was pushed off a cliff while riding his bike. He was referencing when Johnny and the Cobra Kai students pushed Daniel off his bike and down a hill in the first film. There's also a brief flashback showing Daniel teaching his daughter karate. He says true karate is here, but never here, while pointing to parts of her body from her head to her stomach. This is something Mr. Miyagi taught Daniel in the film. Number 3, Daniel invites his daughter's boyfriend Kyler to dinner. And at dinner, he mentions how he got his sashimi knife during his first visit to Okinawa, which is a reference to the second film. Also during the dinner, Daniel questions Kyler on his injuries, especially his black eye and hand. Mr. Miyagi also did this to Daniel in the first film after he was beat up by Cobra Kai students.
What happened to the eye?
I fell off my bike.
Lucky no hurt the hand.
Me too.
Number 4, as Johnny trains Miguel at the swimming pool, he says Cobra Kai never dies, which is a reference to the mantra said in the first and third film. Then, at the Halloween dance later in the episode, Miguel turns up in the same infamous and iconic skeleton costume Johnny wore in the first film. And as Johnny is walking through the school, he sees a picture of Ali from the first film. Number 5, Johnny says this isn't a knitting class, it's a dojo to Miguel. John Kreese, Johnny's first original instructor in the first film, says this line,
"This is a karate dojo, not a knitting class."
As Daniel sets up his dojo at home, he hangs a rule of karate on the wall. This is the same rule number 2, Mr. Miyagi has on his dojo and teaches to Daniel in the second film. Plus, the country club Daniel attends in the show, seen a lot in this episode, is the same country club he gets covered in spaghetti from the first film after seeing Johnny and Ali dancing together.
That sauce burned.
That's even funnier, man.
Number 6, this one opens up with a young version of Johnny showing us his past. We see him ogle some motorbikes, which is something featured in the first film, and then young Johnny discovers the Cobra Kai dojo for the first time. He looks through the dojo and can see and hear young John Kreese talking to his students. Funny enough, the audio used is taken from a scene in the first film that Johnny was in. Johnny walks past the students in the dojo saying fear does not exist in this dojo. Pain does not exist in this dojo. Defeat does not exist in this dojo. John Kreese did the same thing in the first film. Number 7, this one opens with a very familiar scene as Daniel has Robbie doing some chores around the car lot, including waxing cars. This is Daniel teaching Robbie karate the same way Mr. Miyagi taught him. And when Robbie is finished waxing the cars, Daniel asks him, "Both lots?" Then Robbie gets upset that he's not being taught karate at all and accuses Daniel of using him to just do chores. The same thing happened to Daniel with Mr. Miyagi. Number 8, Johnny wears a red jacket in this one, and it looks a lot like the red jacket he had in the first film. Meanwhile, at Daniel's home, he gets a visit from his mother, Lucille, and she is played by the same actress as the original film. Lucille also references the time that he was pushed off the bike down the hill, or cliff, according to Daniel. She also describes Daniel's eyes as baby browns, something she did in the first film.
California, so look.
Take them off. I want to see your baby browns.
Johnny recaps the events of the first film while talking to Miguel, but he mentions several characters from the flick, including Ali and some of the old Cobra Kai students. While Daniel trains Robbie, he wears a baseball catcher's mask and a chest protector, just like Mr. Miyagi did in the first film. He also mentions about power coming out of 1 inch of his fist, which is what Mr. Miyagi also said to Daniel. Number 9, Johnny arrives at Daniel's house and says,
You still can't leave well enough alone, man.
This is a reference to the first film when, after the Halloween dance, the Cobra Kai students catch Daniel, and Johnny says,
You couldn't leave well enough alone. Could you, little twerp?
Then, while at a bar having a drink together, Daniel and Johnny talk about the spaghetti calamity at the country club, as well as referencing a few other things from the film, including the opening of the second film. Daniel also says he knows where Ali is now.
I've seen her on Facebook.
What's a Facebook?
Number 10. The scoreboard from the karate tournament is the same exact style and colors as in the original film.
What?
The Cobra Kai gis are also the same exact style and color as they were in the film. Of course, the infamous crane kick from an appearance with Miguel uses it to score his first point to mock Daniel. The whole tournament has plenty of references to the big fight from the film. Johnny making a fist aimed at one of his students, just as John Kreese did. The semifinals are announced the same way. One of Cobra Kai gets disqualified for using an illegal move, and many more. Number 11. The first thing we see in Season 2 is several trophies in the Cobra Kai dojo. It's hard to see, but it may surprise you to know that they were all inscribed with the name Johnny Lawrence.
Nice.
Showing just how good of a student he really was. It really was an homage to Johnny because all he wanted to do in the original film was to be the best and be a better person, as he stated this to all of his friends in the beginning of the film.
No, ex-degenerate, man. 8 a.m. tomorrow, I'm a senior. I've got 1 year to make it all work. And that's what I'm gonna do. Make it work.
Number 12. Hey, look who's not dead.
I knew it.
For the first time since Karate Kid 3 and the final scene from Season 1, it's John Kreese, the former sensei at Cobra Kai and the man who taught Johnny karate. Rode hard and put away wet, we get to see some of the past that is a big part of Johnny's life. Number 13. Here we see the car Miyagi gave to Daniel for his birthday in the first film. Now, Daniel owns all of the cars.
Son of a bitch.
And Miyagi's former home. This is an homage showing, just like Miyagi did to Daniel, that through hard work, you can own anything in life if you put the work into it. Number 14. This is one of Mr. Miyagi's training exercises that has been passed down to Daniel. He's teaching his students the only way he knows how, muscle memory. Later in episode 5, Daniel goes through the motions once again with his new students, Dimitri. It doesn't go well. Number 15. In episode 6 of season 2, we see the return of Robbie Garrison Tommy, Ron Thomas Bobby, and Tony O'Dell Jimmy, as we get to catch up with some of the other former Cobra Kai members. Johnny spends the majority of this episode reuniting with his former fellow Cobra Kai members, going on one last adventure before one of them, Tommy, dies. They also reminisce about the old days, with the group being shocked Johnny brought Cobra Kai back. Number 16. According to Kreese, he spent some of his time in Panama in 1989. That time is interesting, given that Karate Kid 3 was released that year. However, the movie is set in 1985. In that film, Kreese tries to revive Cobra Kai once again, through Larusso ultimately beating his top student one more time. We learn in Season 2 that after that happened, he claims he ran off-book missions around the world, while he claimed he re-enlisted in the military. He later admits to Johnny that's not the case. Number 17. In episode 6, Daniel tells the story of Karate Kid 3, in which he actually left Miyagi-Do and joined Cobra Kai. Yes, even Daniel went to the dark side once upon a time. Number 18. In Karate Kid 2, Mr. Miyagi teaches Daniel the drum technique, which is a way of avoiding being hit. The movement is like that of a drum Miyagi has, the same one Robbie is holding in the scene. Well, not exactly the same one. While this drum is made to look like the one Miyagi has in the film, it's not as thick. Number 19. If that jacket looks familiar, it's because Miguel borrowed it from Johnny. It's the one Johnny wore in the first Karate Kid film. Honestly, there's probably some of Daniel's blood on there somewhere. Number 20. After mostly being ignored in Cobra Kai's first 2 seasons, the Karate Kid Part 2 becomes hugely important this season, when Daniel travels to Japan to try to negotiate a deal to save his business. Once there, he travels to Mr. Miyagi's village in Okinawa, where he has a chance encounter with Kumiko, Tamala Tomata, the niece of the woman Mr. Miyagi had loved and left in Japan over many decades earlier. Daniel and Kumiko have a tentative romance, although the character was written out of the series in the beginning of the Karate Kid Part 3. When Daniel and Kumiko sit down to catch up after decades apart, they share a pot of tea, a clear reference to the Karate Kid Part 2's famous scene. Number 21. Later, Daniel and Kumiko enjoy a cocktail at a bar. The ice for their drinks is smashed from large blocks, a callback to the scene in Karate Kid Part 2 where Daniel smashes ice blocks as a part of a wager with Miyagi's rival Sato and Sato's bowling student Chosen. Number 22. Kumiko also knows a woman who works at the auto company that Daniel desperately needs to make a deal with. And in a particular twist of fate, it's the little girl he saved from the typhoon in the Karate Kid Part 2. Now grown into adulthood and eager to repay him for his kindness and bravery decades earlier. So always remember to help those in need. You never know when one of them will become an executive at a major Japanese auto manufacturer.
I'm about to save your business.
Number 23. In one of the more memorable scenes in the original Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi helps teach Daniel balance by having him stand on the bow of a tiny boat. This sequence gets a callback in Cobra Kai Season 3, when Daniel takes his daughter Sam out for a heart-to-heart on a boat, and they joke about whether he's going to make her stand on the bow of the boat.
That was the day we taught you how to balance on the bow of the boat. Not that we needed to teach you, we couldn't knock you off to save our lives.
Number 24. Ali was written out of the Karate Kid franchise with a quick line in the opening scene of The Karate Kid Part 2.
Oh, I'd like to hear this.
When Daniel claims Ali crushed his beloved car and dumped him for a guy from UCLA. When Ali returns in Cobra Kai Season 3, she clarifies what really happened. She warned him his car was about to break down, and she was talking to someone she knew from UCLA, and Daniel assumed they were in a relationship and freaked out. It's a nice moment that relates to the theme of Cobra Kai, where who is good or bad in a given situation is often totally subjective, and it reckons the very out-of-character way they got rid of Ali and replaced it with something that feels a lot truer to Daniel and Ali, and Johnny.
Oh, should we talk about what a bad boyfriend you were?
Oh, no.
Number 25. In the final scene of Cobra Kai Season 3, John Kreese makes a phone call to someone he hasn't spoken to for a long time. Although the person on the other end of the line isn't seen, it's almost certain Terry Silver, Kreese's old benefactor in Cobra Kai and the main villain of The Karate Kid Part 3, where he vows revenge against Daniel and Mr. Miyagi for disgracing Kreese, his old buddy from the Vietnam War.
You don't know me anything.
Oh, bullshit. I don't know you anything?
What about Vietnam, huh?
How many times did you save my ass?
I don't know. I lost count.
Cobra Kai Season 3 showed numerous flashbacks to Kreese's earlier life, including his time in Vietnam where he saved the life of the guy who goes by the nickname Twig. In one scene, their commanding officer calls Twig Silver, i.e. Terry Silver, for more on Terry Silver's possible return. With a new season coming out this fall, Cobra Kai fans all over the world can't get enough of this new karate style, me being one of them.
You gotta block that!
But I am curious to see where Daniel and Johnny's new relationship is going now after this new twist ending.
That gets a thumbs up.
Hash brown team Cobra Kai or something. And send it to the internet!